Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. Today we are joined by Terry Blackburn, a serial entrepreneur and founder of the Wealthy Advisors Club. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
So for those who don't know you, can you tell us a bit about your journey and what led you to founding the Wealthy Advisors Club?
Absolutely. So started when I was 19. I'm 37 now. I know I don't look at Alicia, do I look much younger, don't I? But I got in the industry when I was 19, started door knocking, selling protection, which was absolutely brutal. Anybody who's door knocked, I'm sure I can appreciate that. I looked about 12 and I was knocking on doors trying to sell protection where there's no tangible product, right? And I was trying to talk to people about death and cancer. So I started when I was 19.
Positive.
Yeah, lovely way to start the podcast. So that's how I started, but that gives us a really tough skin and that gave us a great upbringing in this industry because it was ruthless, it was door knocking and it ultimately calloused me, I believe, to make us who I am effectively today. So I was there for a couple of years, then went to MetLife Europe, built a team of 40 odd advisors by the time I was 23, and I set up my first business when I was 24, which is called Bespoke Financial. That was within the Primus Mortgage Network. I exited that 3 and a bit years ago. Alongside that, I built another business called The Mortgage Genie, exited that one as well. So done quite a bit in financial services up until this point, and it was only 12 months ago when I set up the Wealthy Advisor Club. It's now the largest community in the UK for financial services professionals, 2,000 brokers in it, and we can get on to what it's about later. But
that's amazing.
That brings us to today, and yeah, man, I'm only just getting warmed up.
That's amazing. So when you look at advisors today, what do you think separates those who are just getting by and those that are building a really successful, scalable business?
A few points on this. So I ultimately speak to a lot of brokers in different experience levels, different parts of the country, different niches and all of that. And ultimately, in any environment, there's people at the top of the game, right? Any network has got leaderboards. There's people at the top and there's people at the bottom. Ultimately, they have the same opportunity, they have the same products. A lot of them are in the same location. And there's definitely certain things that some firms and advisors do that others don't. There's quite a few points, to be fair. One that immediately jumps out to me is lead generation. So even if someone is amazing at giving advice, they use 27tec for the sourcing and the fantastic criteria and finding products for the client and all of that, giving advice, sales techniques are fantastic. But if they've got nobody to give advice to, it doesn't really matter. They could be the best in the world at sales, but if they've got nobody to sell to, or they're not visible online, or nobody knows how good they are, ultimately it doesn't matter. Nobody at the top of the leaderboards is lacking leads. Everybody at the top has got an abundance of leads. And I think in this industry, what people get really hung up on is, right, let's get me qualifications and let's get a good CRM and let's get a good process and good admin and all of this and a good brand and everything. Right, that's fantastic. But ultimately, if nobody knows about all of that, it's completely irrelevant. So I think putting more attention on marketing and on lead generation, I think, is definitely what the bigger firms do. And I'm really passionate about protection. I really, really am. There's still a huge protection gap. Not only is it the right thing to do by the client, by advising and selling protection, it's better for revenue, it's better for the business, it's better for everybody involved.
It's better for the holistic view, the whole thing that they're getting at the end.
Of course it is, but the protection gap is still 10 mortgages and 3 protections. Like that's not good enough. And we all know this, but that's part of my mission at the Wealthy Advisor Club, is to change that, because it shouldn't be like that. It's better for the client, it's better for the advisors, it's better for the networks, it's better for the banks, it's better for the insurers, it's better for everybody. And the key thing, the fundamental thing that needs to change is how advisors position it in the fact find. That's ultimately what it is.
Because I was going to say, why do you think there is such a big gap? What do you think is stopping people from moving into that?
A few things. So I think there's nobody really doing sales training properly apart from me in this country, from what I can see. Some people are teaching sales, but they've never been an advisor, or they've never built a big business, or they sold 25 years ago. So it's a bit out of date what other people are teaching. And I think just maybe it's an education thing. Maybe it's some advisors say to me, I don't want to sell protection because either I don't know how, or I don't want to get the rejection, or I don't want the clawback, and all of these nonsense things that they say. Ultimately, that's a belief problem. That's a mindset problem. It's not accurate, because if you sell it properly, you shouldn't have a persistency issue. You shouldn't be getting clawbacks anyway. And ultimately, I think fundamentally it is the right thing to do. And we've got to remember that, yes, you might be a mortgage advisor on your business card, on your email signature, but ultimately we help families get the keys to the new properties or get the refinance on the existing properties. Yes, we do that, but it's fundamentally the right thing to do. If they get cancer or die, that they can pay the mortgage off, or they can get a wage coming in. We've got to look after the clients here.
Yeah.
And that's the right thing to do. And nobody can dispute or disagree with that point. It is fundamentally the right thing to do to protect every single client with protection. It is, but they aren't doing it. So whether it's an education piece, whether it's a skill set, an ability piece, or whether it's a mindset issue, they don't want to sell it, don't know how to, or a combination of all of those things. But ultimately, it needs to change. And that's what I'm going to try my best to do.
And you're doing an amazing job, as we've seen. And I think it's really important that people remember that at the end of this journey is someone excited about their new home, or excited about buying their first home, or excited about their new family home, or something. There is an excited person at the end of this journey that we have an obligation to protect, like you say.
Definitely.
So what is one question you always get asked by advisors, and what is the advice you give them in response to that?
I get about 100 questions a week in me Instagram DMs. But so loads of people say to me, which is the best CRM? Obviously, I tell them 27tec.
Obviously.
No, they do actually ask us that one. But so what do I get asked? I get asked lead generation. So again, I think a lot of people think, right? They think, right, my business is here and I want to get it to here. They think, right, in order to get there, I need more leads. And often they do. There's also a sales skill ability that they often they're not really aware of, that they need to improve upon. But a lot of them will say, right, well, how do I generate more leads? And I'll go, well, I teach 11 different lead generation strategies in the club, jump in and have a look at those. And they say, which one's best? But ultimately, there's no, I can't say for definite which one is right. And the reason for that is everybody's situation is different. Your capacity is different, how much time you've got to commit to lead generation and marketing. Sometimes you've got to invest capital. Some people don't have the capital to invest. Your skill set, your ability, are you good on camera? Are you good at doing things like this? And ultimately, all of those factors determine which lead generation strategy that you should use. So referrals are always going to work. Everyone should be asking for referrals in the right way. I've got a structured process that we do that at Bespoke in my businesses. We were getting on average 7 referrals per client in my businesses. We were doing over 1,000 life policies a month, and the bulk of that was coming from referrals. So we've got a really clear, structured referral process that I teach that works. Everyone should be trying to get in reducers. Everybody should be doing organic social media, 100%. Although it's a slow burner, so many people say,
so worth it.
Social media doesn't work, or I've tried doing social, but the posts that they're doing are them stupid ones with a picture of some hands and their family in it, or a picture of the guy with the keys. Yeah, it doesn't work because you're doing the same as everybody else. Nobody can dispute that social media, or nobody can really say social media doesn't work, because it definitely does for some people. But what they'll do is they'll try and they'll do it wrong, and then they'll say, oh, well, it doesn't work. So we could go and do a full podcast on social media, but my point is to ask which lead generation strategy is the best. Ultimately, that question is hugely varied and subjective. So the answer just depends. So I always ask people to, right, well, work out how much capacity you've got, how much capital you've got, and your skill set, and then look at my training and look at all the different lead gen strategies and pick which one you think is best. And don't try and do 10 at once, because if you try and do 5-10 different lead gen strategies all at once, you'll end up becoming not very effective in any of them. So pick between 1 and 3 maximum, and then double down on those 1, 2, or 3 strategies. Really double down and squeeze those strategies to get as many leads as possible before you try anything else. People ask about, how do we sell so much protection? And again, it comes down to your fact-finding techniques. It comes down to your sales process, your tonality, your cadence, your sales ability. All of those factors determine how much protection that you sell. Again, we could do a full podcast on that, but I won't digress. But that's a couple of questions.
I guess it kind of leads on to the next question. That is, what are the key habits or behaviours you see in consistently top performing advisors?
So again, a few really broad questions. These I could go a few different ways. all the top ones are in the Wealthy Advisor Club, actually. So as soon as they join the Wealthy Advisor Club, they become a top performer. No, I'm messing.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. Well, no,
Could
they
be
do. They do.
true.
But one of the answers to that question does link to that. So I've never met anybody at the top, right, who's the top of the leaderboards across multiple networks or wherever, who was negative, who was close-minded to growth and learning from somebody else. So birds of a feather flock together, right? And you're a product of your environment. Nobody at the top thinks that they know everything. Everybody who I've ever met at the top actually is really open-minded to learning from other people. So having this like open-mindedness to self-development, reading books, listening to podcasts, learning, not thinking that they know everything, not thinking that they're the finished product, I think is a fundamental mindset thing that everybody I've ever met at the top has got. Like they always read, they're always trying to develop and get better. The second you think you've made it and you know everything and you get complacent, and then what happens is you might be up here and then your competition are getting better constantly and you're not even trying to get better. You get overtaken. So it's having this open-mindedness to learn. And that's part of the reason why I do the Wealthy Advisor Club, is because we're sharing so much knowledge and value and people are upskilling constantly. I think...
And they're being pushed on by the people around them. Like you say, it's that environment. So they have that environment of like-minded people that all want to succeed within the community.
If you hang around with 5 alcoholics, you're going to have a drink. If you hang around with 5 gambling addicts, you're going to start betting on the football. It's just true, isn't it? So if you hang around with 5 top performers, you're going to become the 6th. It's part of it. Like, I'm really fortunate to have a great network. I know people who are worth a lot of money. And when I'm going to Barcelona, for example, next month with a billionaire, and we're doing a workshop together, and I know for a fact he's going to share things that I didn't even know or didn't even think about because he's well ahead of me. So instantly my standards will raise because I'm going to be around those type people. And that's part of the reason why the Wealthy Advisor Club is successful as well, because you get around other people from different networks with different niches, different skill sets, different ways to get leads, different ways to sell. You all learn from each other, and then all of a sudden everyone upskills. And if I can upskill the entire industry, which is the objective, everybody wins. I think other traits are, I don't particularly like that phrase like, work smart, not hard. Like, why don't you just do both? Like, stop saying that. It's not, that implies that you should work really smart, but not hard, doesn't it? In the people that work really hard are stupid because they're not working smart. They're both, in my opinion, they're both wrong. Let's do both. Let's be smart with the way we generate leads and sell, and be efficient and productive and good case values and all of that, and make good revenue so you can reinvest and grow your company, but also work really hard as well. We were speaking off camera before. I'm up at 4 or 5 in the morning, not doing intention. Sometimes I'd really like a lie-in, but I wake up early and I'm on it, and I don't need to work like this anymore. I've sold a couple of companies, I've got a load of property, and don't take us the wrong way there. I'm not trying to look at me. But I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I know that hard work does pay off. And if you can work smart and hard, I think, again, looking at the top of the leaderboards, I know most of the big firms in this country, nobody at the top's like, yeah, I'm having 6 months off. I don't work past 2 o'clock. I go to the gym at 3. I've never heard anybody say that who's at the top. Some people do that, and that's absolutely fine, but they're generally not at the top of the game, the ones that are doing that. So there's a couple of ideas anyway.
I like that because, again, it leads into our next question. We've got here, what role does long-term client relationships play in building a more profitable and sustainable business? And as you were just mentioning, it's the work smarter and harder. So effectively, the longer you make the client journey, it would be harder work because you have to sustain that, but more profitable in the long run, right?
Yeah, I think this is a really, really good question. And there's a couple of different angles I'd like to take this. The first one is, if you look at the lifetime value of your clients, and a lot of brokerages don't necessarily monitor this, but the lifetime value of a client, if you get multiple remortgages, multiple protection sales, wills, trusts, ancillary products, the lifetime value of a client can be substantial. So we shouldn't just be looking at, let's do the mortgage and maybe do the remortgage and nothing else. I believe a really successful business, really profitable business, should be looking at product density. You should be looking at, right, let's go in with one thing and come out with everything. It might not be straight away, but over a period, because then if your product density is 6-8 products, like you're going to make a lot more, but you're also going to improve the customer journey. Your retention of clients is going to be better, and it's cheaper and easier to sell to someone you've already sold to than a new client, right? So if you get the mortgage and the protection now in 2026, and then in 2027 or 2028 you do the remo, but you also do the will, you also do the trust, and maybe you do the GI, maybe you do that long-term lifetime, looking at or thinking about the long-term value of the customer, the lifetime value of the customer, I think is really key. And typically in the mortgage business, every 2 years your business will go up in revenue because you've got that back book, and I think retaining customers is really key. You can do that a few ways. Email nurturing them, keeping in touch. We used to do Christmas cards, birthday cards, all of that, because reminding the clients that you're there. You shouldn't just be a one-hit wonder and just selling to them and hoping that they're going to say yes in 2 or 5 years when the fixed rate finishes, because that's not really a smart business decision, in my opinion. You want to remind them of you, keep in touch with them, and go on their journey from first-time buyer to later life lending. But why couldn't you? That's going to be a pretty profitable business if you can retain the majority of your clients for their entire home buying or debt journey, you could say. That's a really solid business. So I think putting time and attention on long-term relationships is key. And the other point on that one is, I believe everyone is speaking about AI because we all know it's a big thing. It's going to change everything we've probably ever known. I believe standard residential vanilla mortgages are probably going to be impacted first, because you'll be able to get robo advice from an AI that can do a vanilla case, right? However, specialist lending, later life lending, protection, the quirky and creative stuff isn't going to be impacted by AI. So from a customer journey perspective, like there is probably going to be elements that's going to be done by AI at some point in the future. So why don't we, as advisors in this industry, focus on building a long-term relationship with customers now? Because if robo advice kicks off and everyone's getting it and using it in, let's say, 5 years' time, if you maintained and developed a good relationship with the customer's not going to say, yeah, I'm going to speak to Alan the AI. I want to speak to Terry the advisor. Do you know what I mean? Alan the AI. I don't know where that one came from. But do you know what I mean? If like relationships won't get done by AI, because you're not going to be able to have a relationship with an AI. Well, let's not go down that route, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's having that personal touch, and that's something that we 100%. Found in our data. So we release a monthly mortgage snapshot every month, completely for free, that people can download, and it has all of the data from the buy-to-let residential, all of the searches and everything that's been put in our system. And something that we have noticed recently is that all of the searches, the top criteria searches, are the really nuanced ones, and the special cases and things like that, because the other ones just kind of, they almost do themselves.
And look at like banks are reducing proc fees on remos. Ultimately, I think that's the way it's going. I think the vanilla resi basic stuff is ultimately going to get done through technology at some point. Like, would I take robo advice right now? No. Would my kids? Like I've got 4 kids and my youngest is 3. He's going to grow up in a world with ChatGPT and Claude and all of that. He isn't going to know any different. Would he get mortgage advice from an AI? Absolutely, because he's not going to know any different. Whether we like it or not, that's coming. It might be 5 year, might be 10 year, might be 20 year. But ultimately, the basic stuff is going to get done at some point, and I don't think many people can argue with that. So building the long-term relationships is absolutely key for long-term survival in business and long-term growth, I believe.
And we're getting really good at leading on to the next question, because we've done it again.
Yeah, man, it's not my first rodeo.
Because we've got here, where do you see the biggest opportunities for advisors right now? Obviously, bringing in the AI part and how they can use it, but also particularly in later life lending, broader financial planning, specialist cases, things like that. How would you advise people go forward with that type of thing?
I would say, and maybe I'm biased because like protection is my thing. I honestly cannot see anytime soon AI or anything else replacing those emotional conversations you have to have with a client to sell protection. Protection is a quick transaction time. It doesn't take very long to do. There's no big, yes, it can go to underwriting, but there's no big massive chains and solicitors involved like a mortgage. It's quick transaction time. Your sales appointment doesn't take too long. It's the right thing to do by the customer. The clients need it. 50% of us are going to get cancer, unfortunately, and 100% of us are going to die. That's the truth. Unless Elon Musk starts putting chips in my head and we live forever. That might happen. But that's definitely clippable for a short, isn't it? You could definitely get that viral. But my point is, 100% of us are going to die. 50% of us are going to get cancer. So that ain't really going anywhere. Yeah. So the market for protection is huge. The population is growing. Therefore, there is more people that need it. It's still not getting sold enough. And I don't think AI can sell it. Like, you've got to ask emotional questions and you've got to be human interacting with another human to sell protection properly.
And you've got to hear that nuance in people's voices as well. Like when people answer questions through a chat GPT or an AI robot or an AI agent, like you say, there is no feeling and no nuance. They don't understand the pauses or the tone of people's voice that an actual human could turn around and say, are you sure you're okay with this? Which furthers the conversation.
Showing empathy, like you said, tonality. I teach like the 6 tonality types that you use in your voice throughout the fact find to impact your client, because your tonality is how someone interprets the words that you say. I could say some words like this to you and be all monotone and you're just going to be switching off. However, I can say it like I'm speaking now, where I'm up and down with my tonality and I'm emphasizing on certain words, or I'll pause when I want you to listen to something, yeah? Just before or after a word. Robots can't, you could train a robot to do that, but you can tell, can't you?
Yeah.
I've spoke to AIs before, you can tell, and it's like, you just sense it, don't you? In your sixth sense as a human, you just know it's not a human, right?
Yeah.
So my point is, I think that is the biggest opportunity. Less later life lending, of course. I think complex cases, bridging, specialist, adverse credit, I think all of that. If you go down the rabbit hole of unemployment with AI, there might be a load of adverse coming, you know, who knows? But ultimately what's here right now and people can action right now is protection. And I think it isn't going anywhere. And arguably I'm training more protection advisors than anybody else in the country right now. There's 2,000 people in the Wealthy Advisor Club. I've got a sales process, I've got scripts, I've got templates, closing techniques, objection handling. Everything is in there. If you haven't sold it before or you're not selling enough of it, just copy what I do and what the guys do, and you'll start to sell more of it. And it's not like a lot of the mortgage firms who've got this protection gap to do 10 mortgages and only do 3 protection. You don't even need to buy leads. You don't even need to market it. Just go to your back book and sell the protection. So there's no cost of acquisition of these clients. You've got them. You just need to position it in the right way and you'll spike revenue.
And it's really interesting, like you say, because we sponsored your event that you had in London recently, and that was really interesting. And I sat in on one of the talks. I've worked in marketing for like 12 years, something like that now. And sitting in on one of the talks, within 10 minutes, I went, oh, wow, that was really smart. Like, and immediately learned something new. So it's just the way that people speak about things. And that was about closing business. So that was really, really interesting. And you've got another event coming up as well. Yeah.
So we're going to have a virtual one in June, which I haven't finalised the date yet. And then we've got a big one in October as well. So, and you know, on the events, again, this isn't a dig at any network, right? I was part of it. Both of my businesses were part of networks, but this isn't just my opinion. A lot of people are telling me the same thing, that they feel events generally in this industry, not all of them, of course, generally they're quite boring and they're a little bit flat and they're a bit compliance heavy. What I'm trying to do is break the mold and bring proper salespeople, proper people on the stage that are sharing best practices, loads of energy. Well, you're seeing it, loads of energy, excitement, buzz, because that's what people want. Brokers and advisors in this industry want. Sometimes they need a bit of motivation, they need inspiration, and they want to learn from people who've done it, who've been on the path that they're on, who've got to the destination they want to get to. This is what's needed. That's why 400 and odd people turned up for the third event, because I'm bringing what's needed to the marketplace, I believe, and lead gen sales, all of that. And loads of people said a similar thing to what you just said, that they've been in the industry X amount of years and they learned plenty of things from these events. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's about sharing best practice. Let's come together as an industry to actually help each other. It's none of this like conflict, which there seems to be, like people fighting over business and this network's late and this network. Like that's just we've got a common goal.
To collaborate.
Let's just, collaboration over conflict all day long, and that's the way it should be, and that's what I want to I was going to say try and do, but that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to do.
Yes,
not try.
Do it very well. So, on a more practical note, how important do you think people's systems and processes and their tools are when they're trying to scale a business?
I mean, systems are everything, right? So someone said this to me years ago. I think this was like, I don't know, it was 26, 27 maybe, nearly 10 years ago. I was running two businesses at the time. I was running Mortgage Genie and Bespoke. And someone said to me, I was having a chat with him about business, and he was like, so if you had 3 months off work, Terry, like, would your business still run and would it grow if you were away for 3 months? And I was like, 2 weeks and it would be chaos. And he was like, you don't have a business then? And I was like, yeah, I do, because I got all defensive. And then I reflected on that conversation, and he was absolutely right. And then I went down the rabbit hole of like learning systems and processes, because ultimately a business isn't a business if you are the business, if it all goes through you, and if you take a step back and it's just chaos because everything goes through you and you're managing and doing everything, then it's not a proper business. So systems and processes need to be in place from everything, from how the leads come in, how the leads are dealt with, what happens pre and post sale, what happens then during the admin process, the CRM, and then once the case is offered and it's issued and it's complete, what happens then? Like, everything needs a system and a process, so it's uniformed, it's clean, it's tight, because then when that happens, you've got a proper business. You're not going to really be able to sell your business if that's what you want to do, if it's all chaotic. And it's often in this industry, right? People get good at mortgages, or they get good at protection, or good at wealth, or whatever. Make a load of money and they think, right, I'm good at selling, so I'm going to set up a business. They set up their own firm, but then selling and setting up a business is completely different. It's a complete different skill. And that's why I think it happens, because they get good at mortgages, protection, whatever, going to then recruit people, building systems, processes, manuals, all of that. It's not natural to a lot of salespeople, and I think that's why it's sometimes missed. But it's ultimately, if you want to scale to a decent level, we had over 100 brokers in my business when I sold it. Like, you can't run that without systems and processes. It would just, you'd either burn out or like get depressed or something mad, because it would be too heavy. You'd be stressed out your mind. So systems, processes, obviously tools in tech, 27tec, is absolutely key, because you need this AI technology these days. If you're not using it, like, some brokers use paper fact finds still, which blows my absolute brain. I know. Wow. It blows my brains, but it's still getting done, because there's a lot of old-fashioned people in this industry. And I'm not saying you need to know everything about ChatGPT at this point, but using tech will save you money and time if you use the right ones.
But it's also having that community that the Wealthy Advisors Club offers for people to say, I actually don't know how to use this thing. I want to do this. Can somebody help me? And you've got an entire group of people who have either done it, know how to do it, or are currently doing it, or maybe also want to know that advice, that can share common interests and common goals and help each other.
100%. That's, again, another one of the huge benefits of community. And ultimately, as humans, we want community, don't we? We want to be part of something. And if I can, and I'm already built it, that this Wealthy Advisor Club community is effectively a place where they can do exactly that. Whether they've got a question about criteria, about AI, about technology, about CRMs, about protection, about scaling, about efficiency, whatever, they can ask the community. They can ask me. I do 3 training sessions every week. There's over 200 CPD accredited training videos on every part of this industry and job that you can think of. So if you've got a particular problem or challenge, you can watch the video, you can ask the community. And I'm not saying for 1 second I know everything, right? There's definitely people that are better than me at certain things. And that's again the power of the community. That's why I put brokers on the stage at my conferences, so they can share best practices. Because what I teach, you might love 70% of it, and you might think there's no way I'd do the other 30. But there might be someone else in the community that does the 30 that you like, because that meets your style or your niche or your whatever. And that's part of the power of what I'm building. People are literally, I mean, you might have seen the testimonials online, doubling the business, trebling the business, generating more leads than ever, breaking their own records, biggest bank month, biggest written month, just following the stuff that's in the community.
It must feel good though, right?
Yeah, honestly, I was speaking to the guys earlier, like, the past few days I've been up at 4 a.m. That's not intentional, and I'm not promoting like hustle culture, get up dead early and work, sleep when you're dead. I'm not promoting that. But I'm getting up. I don't need to be working as much as what I'm working, right? I really don't. But I'm doing it because I can see what's in front of us. And people are coming up to me saying, I'm changing the industry already. Roger Morris is a great friend of mine. Most people know Roger. 35 odd years in the industry. He said, Terry, you are shaking this thing up, this industry up more than anybody has for as long as he can remember. Because I'm doing things that are different and it's working and people are loving it. So it feels unreal. It feels like it's my purpose. And if I wasn't getting results, it wouldn't be scaling as quick as it's scaling. There wouldn't be 450 people turning up to events on the 11th month of the business. There wouldn't be 2,000 and something people joining, listening to my training most weeks if it wasn't working. And ultimately, fundamentally, all of this is built upon doing the right thing by the customers and making sure the clients get the best advice. In that, the knock-on of that is the advisors, the brokers, the networks, the firms, the banks, the tech providers, the insurers win.
Yes.
So, like, why wouldn't everybody join? Because everybody wins.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's
Agreed.
It's
So, quick fire. If there's one thing advisors could start doing this week to improve their business, what would it be?
Join the Wealthy Advisor Club. What one thing could they do to improve the business?
Yeah. One piece of advice.
Apart from join the Wealthy Advisor Club.
Apart from that. Because that has more in it.
Yes, that has lots of reasons. But I mean, it depends on what, it's so varied, the answer to that question, because it depends on the person and the business, right? But ultimately, most people need or want more leads. So if you need and want more leads, you've ultimately got to commit time to lead generation, prospecting, finding new people. Fundamentally, right, this entire industry, really, when you simplify and condense it all, it's really just two things. You find people and you sell to those people. Really, that's it, right? So if you're not on appointments and you're not selling to somebody, all you should really be doing is finding people to sell to. So fundamentally, that's the job, isn't it? And yes, there's loads of different ways to find people and loads of different ways to sell to and things to sell. But I don't believe, are spending enough time on this one, which is just finding new clients. If you don't know how to, or you're unsure, join the club and there's loads of different lead gen strategies and I'll teach you which ways to do it and how to do each one of them. And if you are not on appointments, you just spend the rest of your time marketing and finding new clients, you're going to make so much more revenue, so much more money. You're going to help more people. That's going to scale your business more than anything. We used to call this in our office going caveman, or cavewoman. And what that's about is back to basics. So when I was doing a one-on-one with a sales guy, they were like, Terry, I want to, I've had a difficult week or a difficult month and I want to make more money. I want to blah, blah, blah. I mean, right, back to basics. And the basics are find people, sell to people. What more is there? So I said, right, how many appointments have you got today? Right, I've got 2 tonight. Right, what are you doing until the appointment? Well, find leads. That's it. And imagine if you spent 10, 20 hours a week looking for people and finding leads, you can't not grow your business. And fundamentally, that's the answer to scale.
Yeah, amazing. I like it. And it's exciting. So we've talked about the events, but in general, what's next for the Wealthy Advisors Club?
What's next? So I've got some really cool stuff. So I said this at the conference, right? I've got a 5-stage plan with the Wealthy Advisor Club and we're only in stage 2 right now. And I truly believe I'm going to build some revolutionary. And I think that it's probably going to go stateside as well. I really believe that. I think what I've got is so unique and different that it can't be ignored. And in the current stage that we're in, stage 2, which is I want to help firms recruit more, scale more, and ultimately protect more clients, right? So I've just launched something called the Lion's Den. So the Lion's Den is so I've got the Wealthy Advisor Club, right? And there's 2,000 brokers in there. That's where I teach them sales, lead gen, efficiency, AI. The Lion's Den is a premium group for business owners. And I've got, to give you an idea of people who are involved in it, Sarah Willingham is doing training inside the Lion's Den. Ant Middleton from the SES program, he's doing stuff on team building, mindset, resilience. Alfie Best, billionaire. I've got Piers Linney. I've got some cool people.
Love him.
Who are he's great, isn't he?
He's great. His AI stuff is fantastic.
It's unreal. And I've got all these cool people that I've interacted with over the years who've said, obviously got to pay them, right? And they're not cheap. I'm going to pay them to talk and to be available where they can ask questions at a closed door, closed training session. as part of the Lions Den, and I'm going to put together groups of 20 business owners in this industry from different networks in the DA space, where we can get in a room and we can learn from each other. We can collaborate with each other as a high-level group, but also I'll get these high-profile business leaders in there. I've got loads of stuff I can add, how I scaled my companies, and I will help firms scale. Because ultimately, that goes with my objective of helping the clients, because if I help firms, they then recruit more, scale more, build more, help more. And that's the current stage that I'm in, and nobody else is doing that in this industry. Nobody's got the caliber of people involved in those type groups that I've got. You know, spending time with people who've been dragons on Dragon's Den, and people who've scaled and floated companies on the stock market, had big exits. People who've been in the SES and been in war zones. Like, what can they teach us about team building and resilience and mindset? They've got to know stuff that we don't, and that's not. They're not going to be recorded, those sessions. It's just going to be close-knit for business owners. Yeah. And I truly believe that is a great, valuable thing that I'm doing. And we're going to do that for a little bit. We're going to keep doing that, and then we're going to move to stage 3. And then the industry is going to be changed. I truly believe that.
Okay, well, we're going to have to get you back on at stage 3 or 4.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Here are the updates. But thank you so much. We have got a gift for you.
Okay.
It is only our podcast guests that get this gift. They are a specially printed plant-based reusable bottle, branded,
cool.
Obviously. So there is only a very few finite amount of people.
So it's made of plants?
Yes.
Is it?
You can open it.
I'm going to have to open
They're
it.
beautiful.
For coffee and things?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice,
I'll give that to me missus. It is a little bit girly. But that is cool. How's it made out? What's it made out of?
It's plant-based materials, so it's all recycled plant-based. They're very cool. It's wheat.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Does it not melt?
No.
With coffee? No.
Promise it doesn't.
That's really cool.
But we
Thank you so much.
We're only on 3 coffees now, so
yeah, 3 coffees a day.
Ted might have melted it.
We were speaking earlier. I used to legit have about 10 coffees a day, and I thought I stopped that because it's definitely not good for your health.
No, definitely not.
So 3 a day, but that is very cool. Thank you so much.
That's okay. Thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your advice with us.
Thank you.
If anybody would like to know how to sign up to the Wealthy Advisors Club, we will pop a link in the description. Thank you very much, Terry. We look forward to being at, sponsoring, collaborating in the future. Definitely. And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. I love what you guys are doing. I think you are great, and yeah, definitely some further collaborations on the horizon, I'm sure. And thank you.
Amazing.